Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Laura Prada from our Telesur studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with our news. You stay with us. We begin talking about Venezuela. Trade unions and other social movements have been marching in Caracas, in the capital of Venezuela, against the latest sanctions imposed by the United States against the country. The demonstration throughout the center of the capital, Caracas, was led by workers at the state-owned airline CONVIASA. On Friday, the U.S. Treasury added CONVIASA to its list of sanctioned Venezuelan companies. That means it will be more difficult for the airline to make international payments. However, CONVIASA insists it will continue to fly normally.
We have to unite our spirit and our hopes into one. This is not an aggression against one man. Some might like me and support me as president, and some might not, and I respect them. But these illegal and criminal sanctions under international law are not lobbied against President Maduro. They are used to hurt the people of Venezuela, and we must reject them and be united as a nation. What is their justification for the sanctions against CONVIASA? How can they justify sanctioning a public service company, a transport company, such a noble company? What harm do they think they're doing to me? The damage is done to the people of Venezuela, to the workers, and to a whole country.
And the head of El Salvador parliament has accused President Nayib Bukele of an attempt coup after soldiers entered the building while Bukele demanded lawmakers approve a military loan. Bukele called an extraordinary weekend session of parliament to ask it to approve a $109 million loan to equip the military and police to fight against violent gangs. The loan has pitted the executive against lawmakers in a country with one of the world's highest murder rates. In response, the troops, the speaker, and parliament indefinitely suspended Monday's plenary session, whose only agenda item was the loan. This Monday afternoon and night, lawmakers have been meeting discussing this issue.
Es necesario que esta Asamblea Legislativa
It is necessary that this Legislative Assembly expresses its condemnation against the invasion and militarized seizure of its facilities, as instructed by the President of the Republic and General Commander of the Armed Forces. The entry of military and police forces armed with rifles and threatening attitude constitute as an exhibition of brute force to intimidate lawmakers. It is necessary that this Assembly rejects and repudiates such regrettable events that clearly violate the independence of the legislative body, the parliamentary inviolability, and consequently breach the constitutional order and seriously affect our democratic system.
And we move on topic. We go to Bolivia. In other news, Bolivia's Supreme Electoral Court is putting obstacles in the way of some of the main candidates from the Movement Toward Socialism Party for the May 3rd elections. They include presidential candidate Luis Arce and former President Evo Morales. The court has given them 3 days to provide allegedly missing documents to approve their nominations. The requirements include evidence that they are not involved in any criminal case and have served in the military, speak 2 languages, and are permanent residents of the country. And we talk about Ecuador. The trial for former President Rafael Correa started this Monday. Former president, who is being investigated for alleged corruption, maintains the trial in a witch hunt aimed at putting an end to his political career ahead of next year's elections. While he would be unable to run for president due to constitutional terms, Luis Correa could still run for office as a legislator in February 2021. Ecuador's National Court of Justice had earlier stated that this trial could not be further delayed, as lawyers previously requested. And we talk about Chile. Health workers have condemned that both the director and the deputy director of Santiago's Santiago de Chile's Central Metropolitan Health Service are investigated for corruption. Patricia del Rosario Méndez del Campo and Cristian Andrés Álvarez Zamora are allegedly investigated for corruption and misuse of funds. Both are also accused of mistreatment of employees and abuse of power. Employees say they will continue to denounce these irregularities despite the efforts of the authorities to silence them.
And the other thing that we want to denounce our deputy director for is the fact that he has committed serious crimes against women. As an association and federation, we can no longer tolerate this to happen, even less so within the public health services.
And in Mexico, 24 U.S. Marines were expelled from being involved in drug trafficking and human trafficking on the Mexico-U.S. border. The investigations began last year when a border patrol stopped a vehicle driven by Marines where several undocumented people were traveling. At that moment, they paid $8,000 to be passed to Los Angeles. Investigations led to the intervention of a battalion of the United States Army last July and concluded with identification of the 24 United States Marines involved in cross-border crimes. Of the 24 Marines expelled, 8 were sent to martial court, while 1 of them will remain detained for 18 months at a naval base in San Diego. Afterwards, he will be expelled for trial by the military jurisdiction.
Almost 2 weeks now.
And in Brazil, heavy rains have paralyzed parts of Sao Paulo. Parts of the city received 100 millimeters of rain within 3 hours, swelling the Tide River to its highest level in 15 years. According to the state's infrastructure secretary, the teeth of Pinheiros River overflowed, flooding nearby highways and trapping drivers and passengers for hours. Several flights have also been canceled at the city's international airport, while 43 schools canceled classes. Buses were operating partially and some urban trains were also canceled. Like this, we go for a first break. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at Toaster English and on my account at Laura Pitelesur. Just stay with us. We are back with our news. Iran confirmed the successful launch of a satellite on Sunday, but it failed to put it into orbit. The launch of the satellite named Safar, which means victory in Farsi, comes days before the 31st anniversary of the Islamic Revolution and crucial parliamentary elections in Iran. The Safar satellite fell short of reaching orbit, the Defense Ministry reported. The ministry spokesman said initially that the satellite was successfully launched and made it 90% of the way, reaching an altitude of 540 kilometers. And Syria's military voted on Sunday to keep up its campaign to regain control of the whole country, but especially in Idlib and Aleppo provinces. Syrian military spokesman General Ali Mayhoub said that government forces had gained a strategic advance in recent days. He said also that the Syrian army had seized a geographical area of more than 60 square kilometers and captured dozens of towns and villages in Idlib province. The advance of forces supporting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad to rebel-held areas in Idlib and Aleppo province has also sparked a large-scale humanitarian crisis. Nearly 600,000 people have fled the fighting since December. And in Nigeria, at least 30 people have been killed in a militia raid in Nigeria's Borno state. The attackers targeted a village on Sunday evening, raising fears that women and children have also been abducted. Government officials have blamed Islamist fighters, though there has not been any claim of responsibility just yet. The decade-long insurgency has killed 36,000 people and displaced around 2 million in northeast Nigeria.
We were just sitting in the front seat of the car, and unexpectedly we heard them shouting, "Allahu Akbar," meaning God is great, and the shootings continued. They first killed a lady in the front seat of the car, then we started running away. They killed over 10 people and killed as well as burned 2 young babies in the car. They also abducted a number of men and women passengers.
And the president of the European Council, Charles Michel, called for an extraordinary summit between the 27 member states of the European Union next February 20th to discuss the budget of the body for 2021-2027, also called the multi-annual financial framework. Although the European Council proposes a budget of 365 billion euros, it will be discussed during the February 20th meeting how much money the European Union receives and where the funds will be directed to. The members of the European Union foresee difficult negotiations due to the deficit caused by the departure of United Kingdom, which was the second contributor to the multilateral organization. Countries estimate that cuts will be made to agricultural and development items in the most backward regions. We go for a second break. You stay tuned with us. We are back with our news. Chinese President Xi Jinping has visited a community and a hospital in Beijing to inspect the effectiveness of measures implemented to halt the outbreak of the novel coronavirus as the death toll rises to 1,017 in mainland China. President Xi met frontline medical staff at a hospital treating infected patients, calling the situation in Hubei province, the virus epicenter, still very grave. He urged more decisive measures to contain the spread of the epidemic that has sickened over 42,000 people so far. And as China continues its many efforts to fight the coronavirus outbreak, the government has also had to battle the spread of fake news and the rise of xenophobic attitudes against its citizens. We have more on the following story.
"I'm not a virus" is one of the slogans being used to criticize growing xenophobic attitudes towards Chinese citizens because of the coronavirus outbreak that has infected over 40,000 people.
We are seeing xenophobic expressions used not only against the people of China, but also Chinese products and the nation as a whole. This is a sign of deep ignorance and are not casual events. These attacks are a part of the disinformation campaign being waged against the Chinese government.
China has had to fight rumors and lies published in Western news outlets and social networks that hope to spread negative opinions about Chinese people. One of the most seen social media posts shows a woman with Asian features eating a bat, which many claim had happened in Wuhan. But the woman in the video eventually came out to prove that it was filmed 4 years ago in an island in the Western Pacific.
This information being made up by people who do not know what the real situation is. They are not here and do not know the moment-to-moment developments. There are those who want to spread terror and panic using racism and xenophobia. In Facebook and other platforms, we are seeing that people are mocking the situation, attacking the Chinese people as a whole.
Rumors and false information have given rise to anti-Chinese sentiment in many countries, as many agree that this strategy seeks to minimize the great efforts made by the government to stop the spread of the coronavirus and to save as many lives as possible.
There are clear geopolitical interests behind these attacks. Let's not forget China is the second largest economy in the world and is still waging a trade war with the United States. So certain players have shown interests in slowing down progress in China's advances, such as the Belt and Road Initiative or the Made in China 2025 strategic plan.
Chinese authorities have made several calls to all nations to contribute with the efforts to stop the novel coronavirus and to stop the spread of fake news and xenophobia. Even the World Health Organization has said that cooperation and international understanding should be the only strategy in these moments.
We continue talking about the coronavirus. An expert team of the World Health Organization has touched down in Beijing to aid Chinese authorities in their fight against the outbreak of the novel coronavirus. Scientists said that the speed of the transmission shows the potential for the novel coronavirus to become a global pandemic. A British man managed to pass on the coronavirus to at least 11 other people without ever setting foot in the epicenter of the outbreak in China, in an infectious journey that shows how the deadly virus can spread rapidly around a globalized world.
In recent days, we have seen some concerning instances of onward transmission from people with no travel history to China, like the cases reported in France yesterday and the United Kingdom today. The detection of this small number of cases could be the spark that becomes a bigger fire. But for now, it's only a spark. Our objective remains containment.
And we change topic. African Union members commemorated this Monday the 30th anniversary of Nelson Mandela's release from prison, calling for unity to confront challenges. This during the 33rd summit, which opened on Sunday in Ethiopia. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said that inequality, unemployment, poverty, violence, which remains as a major challenge for South Africa 30 years after Mandela was released from prison. In addition, and referring to the African Union and his current chairmanship, Ramaphosa announced that he is planning to host 2 summits of the African Union in May. And regarding the commemoration of the 30 years of Nelson Mandela's release from prison, we had the opportunity to interview political and social activist Max Naidu, with whom we discussed different issues related to South Africa, and this is what he said regarding Nelson Mandela's release.
It was a significant date in South Africa because, and I think for around the world, what it showed is despite the enormous power that states can have, that the persistence of people can overcome. And that's a very, very important date if we look at it broadly of how the human spirit can triumph over adversity.
Naidu also talk about the relationship with Latin American countries and what challenges is South Africa facing today.
We will roll it out. We are looking at supplying things like medication that is needed. We're looking at supplying food that is needed. We're looking at supplying some technology to assist with the challenges in the water sector. Spare parts for industry and mining. Yeah, and I think those are broadly the kind of things that we're here to do, that have already been established. We'll start rolling out in the next few months. When you say South America is not a country. So the different countries we have different relationships with. But certainly Cuba, certainly Venezuela, we have very good fraternal relationships. And at a political level, we have excellent relationships. That's now, hopefully, after this trip, starting to translate into business relationships. And part of bringing those business relationships here is about bringing South African innovation. We are very good at innovation, exceptional at innovation. So we're very proud of that. We bring that here. But also building up enterprises in Venezuela with the Venezuelan people to produce some of the things that we produce back home. So we're not just going to be bringing in goods or taking out goods. We're going to actually establish manufacturing processes right here.
With this interview, we come to the end of News Brief. Of course, you can find this and much more other information on our website, LaserEnglish.net, where you can read opinion articles, watch the special interviews, and of course, do a follow-up to the most outstanding information happening in Latin America and the rest of the world. Invitation has been made. You continue with us with Telesur, always together, connecting our global thousands. Until next time, thank you for watching.